before we jump into it. Just always want to say thank you very much for the time you've given to this incentive. And to be fair, you've moved really quick and made a lot of availability. So thank you so much for that. But before we jump in, do you want to give our listeners a brief overview of yourself, a brief introduction?
Sure. First of all, thank you very much again for this opportunity. So I'm Prasanth Gowravajhala. I come from India. Had been brought up in India, did my education there. So living in Germany on and off for about 15 years right now. So I live in a place called Stuttgart in Germany. Been there for about 12 years already. So yeah, it's Stuttgart. I can pretty much represent what I work on. Been in the automotive industry for about 2 decades already. Currently working for a company called MHP. It's a 100% subsidiary of Porsche. So we do consulting, not just automotive. I think MHP as such has a wide portfolio. Like they work on some things like digital core technologies, technology strategies, platform integrations, data architecture, cloud native. Of all them, we also kind of have a big portfolio in software-defined vehicles. So I represent MHP on the software-defined vehicle side. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Obviously, MHP enormous. You guys cover a lot of an organisation, but really excited with the software-defined vehicle journey. And obviously, we discussed that in a bit more detail today. It's a very exciting subject within the industry. So thank you for that intro. We'll jump right into it. Obviously, section one, getting personal. I suppose, who are you outside of work? What do you enjoy doing when you're not glued to your desk or doing something in the automotive field?
so so outside work, yeah, I'm married, have a daughter, so kind of small family. So she goes to school here, and wife's working, and we're kind of pretty busy throughout the week. The weekends, I think we get pretty much a lot of time to do stuff more or less together or in parts, right? So yeah, to say right. Other than I think it's very fair to say I'm not a 24 hours working guy. So I'm pretty much into a lot of other stuff. I mean, like I do kind of get myself involved. One is definitely have to keep yourself updated, keep on learning stuff, keep kind of yourself occupied with stuff like that. On personal front, I guess I'm more on to if you talk what I do other than work, I think have a lot of hobbies, I guess. So this is what I was also talking to my wife today. Was trying to think, what should I actually say? It's like do a lot of things actually.
Yeah.
Most I guess since the weather is really bad these days, right? Like autumn's already there.
Cold season in Germany,
cold.
rainy and cold.
So end of most of my time with my PlayStation actually.
Respect that.
So PlayStation is something, or to say in general, games are something I really spend a lot of time. And other than that, I guess I do have a little love for the green things, right? I do have a lot of house plants. Do a little bit of gardening. Yeah. Do a bit of gardening, mostly in the balcony. Yeah. So not much of a professional gardener with a do a lot of stuff in the balcony. Right. I really love them. I think it's pretty much again season dependent, isn't it?
Of course.
Plants do. I think they're pretty much leafless right now. But yeah, when weather permits, gardening is something I would really love to spend my time on.
Yeah, fantastic hobby. Obviously, time consuming to development, isn't it? And investing the time to watch them grow. I'm not much of a gardener myself, but my partner's grandma is obsessed by it, and I got lovely there. But it's like a period of time when they're blossoming season. It's a daily thing you have to be on really all the time, don't you? So I can see and enjoy with that itself, which is great. Okay, so just to summarise, I'll say daughter. Congratulations, fantastic there, family man. Obviously, in the winter seasons, like to game if you're going to obviously dress down and done it. Then as the spring and summer's coming through, actually that attention flips away towards the gardening. Don't remind me, obviously, especially the fact that you, as you've admitted, it's only on the balcony. Where's that love of gardening come from?
I don't really know. I mean, it's I think I come from very a small town, so where like everybody has their own small patch in their houses, right? You grow like your own vegetables and all. I
Hmm.
think once that, and second thing I guess is something more of a took like a personal challenge, I guess. So my mom used to have these also some, so even my house had one, so my mom used to grow stuff. So she could grow all sorts of plants, but there's one plant that kind of eluded her, was a rose plant. So
Okay.
roses never grew at our place. So
Hmm.
they used to be really healthy, and pop they used to die. I don't know why, how. So my mom was kind of really she used to feel miserable as a, I mean, I could grow everything. And so I think that was something that used to keep me, I don't know, it's probably that's the reason. So I used to go to
From
my
childhood.
neighbors who, yeah, probably.
Hmm.
So I used to go to my neighbors, so they used to have a lot of there's a huge patch of roses.
Hmm.
So I used to talk to them, learn stuff. And he was an old guy, so he used to teach me how to graft, and all. So it was really interesting. So I think that is where I picked up. But then again, on and off, sometime back when we had our own apartment, so we started growing stuff in the balcony. It kind of re-triggered that last love. I said, okay, let's do it. And I think I really like that. I mean, I don't know, it's more of a personal thing, liking. It's the green color. So even the desk I'm sitting right now, there are two plants staring at me, saying,
Okay.
okay, you're talking about us right now. So.
Fair. So it's something from childhood
Yeah.
that's just stayed with you that's a natural hobby and it
Oh
also
yeah,
goes on with your
I
love for
think so. I
greenery.
think so. Probably, yeah. I think so, yeah. So, but I guess planting, gardening, etc. I think it's there in the family also. I think there are a lot of. I know my parents; they still do that. My uncles also. I mean, it's. I think it's more of a hobby that kind of keeps you sane, I would say.
Perfect. Well,
Yeah.
fantastic. Well, it's the
Yeah.
first time we've had gardening on the podcast, but obviously it's a regular thing, but fantastic there. It just shows the different interest everyone has within this fantastic industry that we work in. Sort of a highlight of a new space. So great. And thank you for sharing that. Section two, I suppose, brief overview for our guests. What was your education? What did you do before you entered into the working world?
Yeah. So I did my bachelor's and master's in electronics. To be very precise, I not pretty much the same electronics actually. So I did my bachelor's in electronics and communication. So again in India. So and then again, mom said, "Okay, I wouldn't really want you to pursue a job because just for try because once you start working you probably might not have a mood to go back to education again." So
Hmm.
that kind of convinced me to go for my masters. Did my masters in something called applied electronics.
Hmm.
It's kind of a niche subject. I'm not sure all the universities offer that.
Okay.
So the university I did had that, and they so this applied electronics was pretty much something, all sorts of electronics that go into the industry, like instrumentation
Hmm.
or VLSI, embedded systems, digital signal processing, networks. So everything kind of a very niche kind of an electronics thing.
Hmm.
So did my masters in applied electronics. That kind of paved way towards my first earning stint as well, I would say.
Hmm.
So I was asked to do this. So look, we had only 3 semesters of masters then.
Hmm.
Now I think it became, I think a couple of batches later it became 4 semesters now for 2 years of masters.
Hmm.
So we had like 2 semesters of college work, and then you have 1 semester of project. So
Hmm.
I convinced my dean, really a great guy. So he kind of really encouraged as well to for me to go and work in the industry, because this is what applied electronics means, right? I mean,
Hmm.
you have to get yourself involved in the industry because this is the ultimate goal of what you're studying. I mean, unless you want to end up in education.
Hmm.
So did this project. So at the same time, luckily my cousin was working in a company who were doing a project for industrial automation.
Hmm.
So he was looking for trainees, kind of people who kind of work part time and all. So that's when he kind of helped me out into this project, and also I had the advantage because I anyways have to submit a project as a thesis in my university during my project year. I kind of used the same project, and it kind of worked out really well. Successful project, successful thesis. Kind of defended it pretty well, and yeah, I think at the end I kind of stood in the top three, I guess. More like two,
Congratulations.
probably. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
Congratulations. Good achievement.
That's pretty much with the education. I think though I had, some or the other time I always wanted to pursue further, but I think never got the motivation to do that again. Yeah.
Well, to be fair, Masters is a great achievement, regardless, anyway. And obviously, with the education system, which is fantastic, and obviously well done within that field and that space, that's definitely a great achievement. Well, I'm quite interested here, which is going to be a good point, which is great, is obviously I know when you got your education, you didn't immediately come to the automotive industry, did you? You started in a different field. So, what happened in there? What were you doing before you came into the automotive industry? And then we'll cover the next question afterwards.
To all the listeners probably who are complacent about, I'm at the top of my class. There's no guarantee that you get a job. Yeah, so this hear from me. So I'm not trying to curse or scare you, but just a word of caution, because I guess I had completed my master's end of 2001. And that's when was just the starting the recession. I think in 2002 was a big recession. I had an offer from one of the biggest IT companies in India.
Mm-hmm.
They had selected me in the campus, so I was recruited, but they never gave me an offer letter. So it was kind of waiting, waiting, waiting. Then I thought, okay, waiting doesn't really help. I mean, I've done my education. I was just sitting at home, doesn't really help. So I started doing odd jobs. Ended up working, really tiny jobs like, I even did soldering for a couple of days in a small company. Then the guy realized that I have a master's. He said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! This is not something for somebody as qualified as you. We're looking for." So you kind of then I think he helped me out in securing my, let's say, more or less a first stable job at a company called WEM Technologies. So this WEM Technologies does a lot of stuff for the Indian military. So they do a lot of components. They do a lot of electronics, and so then they started. I think they were probably year and a half
Okay.
old with electronics R&D. So they have a big established factory. They
Mm-hmm.
used to do a lot of components, but R&D was kind of very new. There were about 30 people, I guess, of which 5 or 6 were maybe hardware engineers, and I was the one. I was recruited to replace one of them who had just quit.
Mm-hmm.
So a really funny incident, I think, it's probably worth mentioning. I come back from a very raw industry experience during my project time.
Mm-hmm.
So this is my first big project. So they asked, so you always were put on a probation, right? So once you start your work, so they kind of check if you're good enough. So,
Yep, of
one of
course.
those projects, so one of
Or
the
actually
projects
turn
they
up.
asked me to, yeah. So they asked me to do something called, so they used to have this, LPG cylinders in
Yep.
India. So they used to have, so everybody who was to cook, they kind of ordered the cylinders, and this all these agencies which kind of delivered the cylinders are open from, I don't know, maybe 9 to 5 in the evening or something like that, or 9 to 6 or something like that in the evening. And then after that, if somebody wants to book, yeah, it was always a pain, right? They have to wait for the next day and stand in a queue and do that. So my company came up with an idea to automate this stuff.
Okay.
Way back. I mean, this was about in 2002 times, right? They came up with an idea like you call them. If there is no operator there, it kind of connects to an automatic machine. So it kind of takes your number. So you kind of type in your number, and then it prints an invoice so that
Mm-hmm.
the operator comes the next morning, he sees the invoice and immediately dispatches a cylinder. So this is what they implemented. Great idea, but then again somebody has to write the code and stuff like that. So they have a hardware, and somebody had to write a code for the printer, and that was my job. So this was
Mm-hmm.
the first assignment they gave me, and I think after 1 week I ended up really miserable. Yeah, so I was hopeless. There was this review meeting, so they called everybody and asked how's going on. So everybody gave their status, and it comes to me, and they asked, okay, Prashant, what is with the printer code? And I was almost in tears. I said, like, yeah, it's working, but then the problem is it prints everything, but then this paper doesn't stop scrolling. Yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
just keeps on scrolling till the complete roll is scrolled out. And then everybody started laughing like hell, right? It was really embarrassing. So this is what I've been trying to say, right? You
Yeah.
come up from the university, you think you are the king, right?
Yeah, of
You've been the
course.
best in the class, but then you come, the reality is totally different. I mean,
Yeah.
Then I remember somebody. I think he was the line manager, a couple of levels above. So he was
Mhm.
kind of the head of R&D.
Mhm.
He kind of protected me, kind of shielded me. I said, "Guys, this is not the right way you respond to your team, right?" So then he
Mhm.
kind of really, really motivated me. He said, "Prashant, I mean, at least what you did, nobody had done till now. So at least you're
Nice.
scrolling the
You
roll,
made
you're at least
progress.
printing some, yeah." So he said that's in itself is a great achievement, yeah,
Mhm.
and that you did without any prior knowledge of the project in 1 week. So I expect you to probably be completing this in another week. I think we are good to demonstrate it to the customer. So
Perfect. Good
do
boss.
let me know what you know. I mean, he was really positive, and I felt so thankful to him. And I think the next day I completed the code. So it
Perfect. There
just
you go.
yeah. I think after that I never looked back. So then they gave me so that was more like a teaser
Yeah.
what I was asked to do. Then they gave me hardware design projects in for avionics. So I
Yeah.
was working with these military grade and avionic protocols
Mhm.
like MIL standard 1553B or ARINC or something like that. So we used to define so all these projects which come under these protocols were my responsibility. So there was this small group called Interface Systems Group, where about 3 or 4 people.
Mhm.
So I was responsible for this group. So I used to develop all the projects. I used to work for all the projects that use these protocols.
Mhm. Okay.
And
And interface with them across the
yeah,
different systems. Yeah.
and predominantly I used to do these PCA cards. So PCA cards, I think,
High speed.
yeah. So there are these attachments that go into a PC. So for
Mhm.
people who don't know PCA cards, so I used to do them. So I used to develop those. So it's like everything, right? From schematic to layout till form factor definition, connector definition, component procurement, everything, testing, validation, EMI, EMC verification. So it's like
Full life cycle,
everything
basically.
around that. Oh yeah.
Basically, yeah,
So
fair.
yeah. So I was in myself a complete department. So I was doing everything. I was really successful. Sold a lot of hardware. I mean, the company was
Nice.
made a lot of money during that time.
Nice.
Um, yeah. So then about in 2004, I think I quit that company and moved to Bosch into automotive.
So,
And
so before we
yeah.
jump into that, sorry to cut you off. This is what's always so interesting. So the second question typically asked here is like why the automotive industry, what led you to develop a career in that space. But am I right in saying with you with the move, it wasn't planned, it was coincidence, wasn't it? You ended up in the automotive industry
Um,
initially, or
Yeah, often if I now look at it, it looks sounds like coincidence,
yeah, meant to be.
but then when yeah, so I think since we touched that point, probably I would just elaborate that part of what happened. So things were very nice. Had a great time at WEM, so I was having an awesome time developing, and so I was kind of really famous. So but then, that gets to your head. I was pretty young. I was really adamant. I think I had some fallout with my manager,
Okay.
and then I said, "Okay, yeah, good. So if that's the case, then I'm quitting." Yeah.
Fair.
So
Young and
so
brash.
yeah. So I was too brash. I think that was pretty much the reason I quit there. So there was no other reason. I mean, I was really happy with the work, and the team was awesome. Actually,
Hmm.
made really good friends there, and I just quit. I was like,
Okay.
you want to this. I think I was more, to be honest, I was too adamant, right? I was brash, rather. That's the word.
Hmm.
So then I decided I would quit. It was about time. I think that was around that time my brother also was getting married. So it's like a lot of happening at family also. So I just decided I'll quit, and then I started searching for a job.
Okay.
Was really lucky. I think was also the right time because 2004 was this. So the recession was gone. A lot of companies coming to India. Some really big names actually, like Honeywell, Intel, STM. I guess there was one more, L&T, and there were a lot of companies that I had chance to talk
Hmm.
to. Some have given offers. So of them, the first one was Bosch. So Bosch was the first one who came up with an offer. So remaining all were kind of still debating, right? How much do you want? Where do you work, etc. And also, I think Bosch also had promised that I would work for hardware development. I think this is how it worked out. So they recruited me for hardware development because that's when Bosch was planning to move hardware development into India. So
Okay.
I was recruited for hardware development. I said, okay, nice, because also Bosch is kind of a is a
great
big
company.
name. So you're
Great
not
tier
just
one.
going into, yeah. And from them being a company of about 30 people going to Bosch, which had I think at that time there were about 200,000 people
Nice.
worldwide.
Yeah.
Well, it's a huge company,
Small company.
and in India, yeah, exactly. And in India, I think they were about. I'm talking about Bosch, and so Bosch also had a subsidiary called Myco then. So
Okay.
they were. It's a big factory, and also I'm talking about the Bosch that was doing more like software services and all. They were about 12 to 1400 people. So
Okay.
it was relatively big. The pay was pretty nice. But then the only downside was I had to switch from the city from where I'm from to Bangalore. So
Okay.
not a big change. I just had an overnight ride to my parents. I think was thought, okay, why not?
Yeah.
And just took that opportunity. Yeah, that's I think that's how I ended up in automotive industry. So if I look back now, absolute coincidence. I mean,
Hmm.
there was nothing planned. It was just spur of the moment. I just decided I would switch jobs, and automotive presented itself to me. So I thought, okay, why not?
Fantastic. Yeah, so timing's coming together, coincidence. I don't know powers that be, but yeah, fair and fair. It's good to see it wasn't. I thought as we planned, and obviously you come from the background where you love cars and work in the industry, but you wouldn't class yourself when you initially come into it as a petrol head. So it's good to press on that there. I suppose so once you've been in that space, then obviously a few years ago, you've now progressed your career quite a lot. From your viewpoint, what's led you to develop a career in the automotive space? What's led you to develop and focus in this area?
To be precise, I think is a lot of things actually. One of the first thing I would say. So when I started, a couple of weeks later, my manager told me that the hardware division would start late,
Hmm.
and he offered me to support like system software. I was like, wow, I have no experience in software, man. And then he said, no, try it. So then he also gave me an option. So he said, end of the year, probably. I mean, so I've started in March of that year. So kind of, so he said, if you want to move to hardware, look, try this. If you don't like this, then probably end of the year you can actually move to hardware again. I said, okay. And then, so I was asked to write device drivers for an infotainment system. I think General Motors was the customer then.
Hmm.
So device drivers
Hmm.
for based on SPI. So it's like SPI communication drivers is what I had to devise. So it's like a communication between two processors. I think display and touch screen. No, touch screen. Display and keyboard, and then display and the we call it the fascia or so silver box or the infotainment system as such here. So
Hmm.
had done that very badly. Had I don't know. I think so. It always. I mean, I always had some good people. Meanwhile, who would help me, who'd guide me through. Okay, you
Hmm.
are not bad. You're just stupid. Yes, that's what they used to say. So they kind of helped me clear that stupidity cloud out and kind of become
Hmm.
better at what I was not good at. And
Doing.
so I think
Hmm.
that was the one. So the initial few months were disaster. So I had no idea,
Okay.
and again, this brashness was still there. I was always every yeah.
Yeah. Young
Yeah,
happens.
and it's
Impatient.
like, it's like I always try to quit, But then I realized, okay, I mean, you can quit one job, two jobs. I realized that cannot be a habit. And then, kind of,
Yeah.
thankfully, a couple of guys, my program manager and my project leader, I think they both guided me amazingly well.
Hmm.
I am still good friends with them, and whenever they visit, actually, Germany, they still contact me. So that's that good friends.
That's
so
fantastic. That's lovely. Yeah, that's lovely.
so
That's
did
actually.
well. I think end of the year comes you have this performance review.
Hmm.
That review, my manager asked me, "Hey Prashant, I got the request from the team which actually hired you. They want you there, but
Hmm.
then I would probably recommend you to continue in this program because you worked for 3 years, 3.5 years in hardware, and
Hmm.
now you can work in software. Then
Yeah, I can
probably,
become more rounded,
yeah,
certainly.
exactly. Then you can become a
Great
systems
advice.
expert." Then I said,
Yeah.
"Wow, sounds interesting." probably I was in a good
Yeah.
mood then. It's like I said, thanks, mate. I would take that offer, and it really clicked. I think I saw much. I mean, I'm not. I still would say I'm a really bad programmer. I'm
Okay.
still not good at I mean, I know
I think
what's
you're
programming.
modest.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you're very
No, no,
modest.
no. I know. I mean, I can review a code. I can tell where the problems are. But if somebody asks me to code, I think my coding practices are really primitive. So I don't call myself a programmer,
Hmm.
but I definitely would call myself a hardware engineer because I still can do hardware design as a pro in compared to software design. So I think that's still there. But together, it gave me a big edge in the industry. So I learned. I was too often reviewing a lot of functions. There was a good feedback from the customer, so they asked me to come visit the plant for integration and all. There we discussed a new program. I think telematics for General Motors in Australia. I think that was the
Hmm.
program, which was actually not in cards. So we kind of got that program and then I kind of did requirements and development, deployment pretty fast. So fast that even General Motors was not ready with the hardware. They said, okay,
Okay.
it kind of really went well,
Hmm.
which gave me my first opportunity to travel to Germany
Okay.
for I think for a couple of years. For 2 years, I was posted to Germany to Bosch.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay.
I mean, for me, I think that was a big change because till then I was traveling like crazy.
Okay.
So this project was General Motors Australia,
Hmm.
and so there was another Bosch subsidiary which was I think the production unit in Malaysia. So I was kind of hopping between Bangalore, Malaysia, and then Melbourne. So I was kind of doing these
Hmm.
hops pretty much every week. So much that I think probably 30, 40 times I would have done that.
Okay. Wow.
It was terrible. And then somewhere down the line, my wife said, "You better stay there. Don't come back." And so,
Fair.
as I think that triggered. I requested my manager like, give me something more stable, and I don't have to travel. Then they positioned me in Germany. The
Hmm.
position I think is
And you
called.
relocated there.
Yeah. So
Relocated to
yeah,
Germany from India. Okay.
so we didn't have our child yet, so we were kind
Okay.
of newly married, I would say. Not very newly, but yeah, relatively newly
Of
married. So
course.
we're still a couple. Very good, no kids.
Bits of
Uh,
bits of freedom. There was
yeah,
some freedom still there.
exactly. So then I was transferred to Bosch Car Multimedia. Then I think it was
Hmm.
called Blaupunkt in
Yep.
Germany, north of Germany, pretty much very near to Hanover. There's a small city called Hildesheim. So I was
Okay.
stationed there. So I worked there for 2 years. Did some again amazing projects for
Okay.
Fiat.
Yep.
So I was actually sent there for Fiat. I think Fiat 500 from 2007.
Legendary car.
Yeah. So that was the infotainment system. Yeah, that comes from Bosch, and I was the software program manager then, on-site program manager for that. So I was
Hmm.
responsible for software jobs, but then again, my hardware knowledge helped me.
Of course.
Yeah, kind of widened my horizons there. Learned a lot from the hardware engineers in Bosch in Germany because then the hardware development for big OEMs used to happen in Germany. I used to
Hmm.
visit Portugal very often, visit customer in Turin very often in Italy. I learned a lot of stuff from how the processes go and how much I have to learn and how small I am in the industry and all. It was an amazing couple of years, I would say. I think that is when I we
Sounds like a lot of learning, a lot of
oh yeah.
traveling, the hustle and bustle of the industry, obviously change of cultures. I can see that.
Yeah, icing on the cake, I guess. We had our first kid, or the only kid. Yeah, she was born there.
Yeah,
So
fantastic.
yeah, so that's I think something we would always keep closer to our hearts.
And
Uh,
then lifestyle has to change
yeah,
slightly, doesn't it, for
yeah,
that change?
yeah.
Yeah.
Then I think 2 years, 2009, I came back to India again. I was responsible for program management.
Okay.
I was recommended to program management, knowing my system expertise. Uh,
Because you had the overall understanding of hardware,
yeah,
software, and the overall system, so it was a natural step for you that you wanted to take, which makes
exactly,
sense. With
exactly,
understanding technically, you
and
can then lead the project.
definitely, yeah. In Germany, when I was there, I also had a lot of interactions with the mechanical teams as well, and I also come with the regular EMI EMC qualification and also testers who used to talk. So it's kind of I learned a lot of information. I just had the opportunity to put it in practice once I was back in India.
Okay.
2008 was also a year of recession,
Of course, yeah.
so I think yeah, it was terrible. Bosch decided that they want to move some low cost infotainment systems to India. So the
Hmm.
complete development was happening in India, and yeah, I think it went really well. I did a platform project together with a beautiful team of engineers. We developed some very low cost systems for a lot of customers. I think this was a platform project where you just have like we call platform because this, you can actually adapt the same system
Hmm.
for different scale of requirements just by either inserting components in the manufacturing. So it was so good a design that I think we sold it to a lot of customers.
Perfect.
Like a lot of off-road highway, which was not for passenger cars, but
Hmm.
was more of trucks and off-highway vehicles like
Oh, okay.
tractors and all. We sold a lot of stuff, of which MAN and Scania were two important customers then.
Nice.
We also worked for Daimler then. I think one of the projects was also delivered to Daimler. And then I had also then had the opportunity to take up product management
Okay.
as an official title, and I was offered a position in Germany
Okay.
for 2 years. So
So
2 to 3
India,
years, I
and
think.
then
Yeah,
back to
yeah,
Germany. If you don't mind me asking, what? Because obviously
yeah.
you went from India to Germany, then back to India, then back to again. Was that always career moves, or was it more because you had a family change? You thought it'd be better to be
Um,
close to the family? Because obviously that's quite a bit of movement, is it, in a short space of time?
yeah, I sometimes I still contemplate. Yeah, there's somewhere argument with the queen in the house. So, but then again, there are some things which you choose, some things choose you.
Of course, it's
I think.
timing, isn't it? That's
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to have
yeah,
this podcast for where you've got to. It's not like you had a clear path
yeah,
ever set down as one door shuts, another
yeah,
opportunity happens, and different things,
yeah.
different circumstance,
So
time. So never planned.
to be very honest,
Yeah.
I was only in Germany in 2012, I guess, or yeah, 2012 February. I moved to Germany to kind of substitute a colleague of mine. She was pregnant and she was having a baby. So I was supposed to substitute her for 3 months till she comes back to work.
Hmm.
And it so happened her boss, her manager, changed the company
Okay.
and or he changed the department rather, and so his position was vacant.
Yeah.
And 2012 happens to be, I think, diversity year in Bosch, so she was offered the position.
Yeah.
So she moved,
And then you took
and
her
since
old
her
role.
position was free, yeah, I was offered that
Oh,
position.
fantastic.
And so initially it was 3 months
Hmm.
was planned to travel there. So I went 3 months, became 6 months, became 3 years, and then I'm still living here.
Of course, of course. And then
Yeah,
obviously, fantastic. Okay. So yeah, it's a
yeah,
timing. It always plays a coincidence role from that there. And then from that position there, obviously you've had a couple of other key roles, as haven't you, as well,
yeah.
that made an impact on your career.
Yes. So in about, I think, couple of years, I was pretty much into that company, learned a lot of stuff. But then again, it's a small subsidiary of Bosch. It's called
There's
ETAS.
many.
Yeah. So it's a small subsidiary of Bosch. But I think the work was pretty limited, and they offered me product manager when I moved there. But then again, since they didn't have much of portfolio, the kind of pettings all the teams, so they offered me project management.
Okay.
I was not something which was really interesting to me. Because of my contract, I didn't have another option than to quit, because if I have to change, I have to go back to India. So we just came back, and then I'm going back. I mean, it just is already chaos. I already did this twice in about 5 years. So and I thought, yeah, let's now move to something which I'm really comfortable with, which is infotainment. Then the same time, luckily, Harman was looking for program managers
Hmm. Great business.
for yeah, awesome company, I would say,
Hmm.
really awesome. was looking for program managers for MAN and Scania, which just happens to
Where
be
you previously,
something which I've worked.
yeah,
And coincidence, actually, this was actually the extension of or the next generation of radios or the infotainment systems. What I did previously with Bosch.
okay,
So I knew the customers, so it was very easy for me to get in. I know the requirements of the customers as well. Um, it was pretty easy, and on top of it, I think Harman started doing this development with software completely offshore. So they had a new team in India, and I think a small Delta team in China. So they were trying to do this whole program with offshore team.
okay,
Had a real struggle with the this cooperation and all. And me being with an Indian background, it was a really easy choice.
okay,
And I was traveling kind of also, right? In a month, I was 3 weeks in India on business,
yeah,
and it was kind of funny though. I did that for a few months, the beginning of my time at Haman, and then slowly we kind of got the project. I think there were some awesome managers also in India who were really good. I think I won't mention the names. I think if they hear this, they will know who I am talking about. So the guys really were really, what to say, cordial. The communication, it all needed some proper channels of communication, and then the project zoomed ahead. We did bring the project to production, albeit a couple of months later. And then we also won the follow-up project from the same customer, which was awesome, which
fantastic.
means that we did the earlier project better. So they also awarded us. So yeah, meanwhile, I had a small skip of jobs. I went to Vistion for a couple of months and came back to Harman again. Then I was responsible for global navigation for a few customers like Daimler, Audi, BMW, etc. And yeah, in 2019, I had the opportunity to work for Volkswagen. I was actually not interested because I already changed a job. But then Volkswagen said, "Come talk to us. Don't like it, and let's not go further." So I was really impressed because they kind of picked me up from the train station when I went and for the interview and spoke to them. So it was for a cooperation project Volkswagen was doing with Ford, and yeah. But eventually, I didn't work on that project. So when I went there, my manager thought I was better doing system architecture because of my technical know-how. And then he offered me to work as a system architect for the Volkswagen bus called the ID bus, the electric ID bus, or the electric bully they call it, or the electric transporter, whichever name you want to call it. It's the first electric van. So a vehicle of that size, I think there is no other vehicle that's of that size or in that portfolio in the world right now. So I was asked to be the system architect for infotainment. And yeah, I worked there till the start of COVID. Things were getting bad, so I had quit Volkswagen in about mid of March when the lockdown started in Germany. Then moved. Luckily, once you are inside Volkswagen, you know a lot of other brands also like Porsche, Audi. You talk to those guys. You make good connections with them. Then I think one of them had requested if I had interest in working with the new program which Porsche was developing during that
Okay,
time. Yeah, then so I moved to MHP and started working for Porsche.
nice.
Uh, yeah, the project, I think it's announced. I think sometime in February this year they've announced this project as our release to the press.
Yeah,
It's called the Macan.
yeah, of course. Great
Um,
car, beautiful car.
yeah, definitely. So I worked for the Macan or the electric Macan, the new generation or the second generation Macan.
Okay,
So I was responsible for technical project management, and then I was responsible for China region for a year and a half.
okay,
And then once the project came of kind of come to a logical end, so we kind of reached the milestone, production so start soon. Then I kind of switched to a different customer through MHP. So
Okay.
MHP does a lot of other customers. I
Of
work with.
course, enormous
Yeah,
consultancy
yeah,
covering a lot. But great. Okay, so
yeah.
fantastic
That's
career
pretty
there.
much it. Yeah,
A fantastic career. Interesting. You worked with different tier ones, obviously consultants as well. Transferred back and forth from India to Germany with different cultures, and then worked with various different components, which is fantastic to hear. Big focus on infotainment early on in your career. I think there's no problem with saying that, is there? And then as we've developed in the later years, obviously now it's swapped to the new area that's the focusing with software-defined vehicles that I know we cover later in more detail. So thank you for that overview. I suppose moving into section 3, just because of your experience, obviously within the achievements that you've had, what would you say the key achievements or things that you're proud of, or the highlights of your career almost?
yeah. I think more than achievements, I would say a lot of learnings. I would probably put it this way.
Okay,
Achievements, I should not say okay, something is good, something is bad.
of course.
I personally learned a lot of stuff from everything I've done throughout.
Hmm.
So I think the first thing is itself moving to this domain
Yep,
from
the new
avionics. Yeah,
domain. Yeah.
yeah. So one monetarily, I should not say no to that. Yeah.
To make the
I
world
mean,
go
avionics.
round.
Yeah. So if you look at it, avionics is a very niche domain, right? I
Of
mean, you
course.
don't have a lot of companies working on that. So either you have to very stringent, and you don't be talking volumes in avionics, and the technologies don't shift as fast as it
Hmm.
happens in automotive, for example.
Of
So
course.
I think that is something I'm really proud of. If you ask me what is something you would really look back and say, "Wow, I did that."
And it was a
I
key
think this
moment for you as
transition,
well, so early in your
yeah,
career as well.
definitely, yeah,
Perfect.
definitely, and I'm something that I'm so happy that it just happened to me because at automotive, I think that the main reason is you see stuff what you actually build
Of
in
course.
automotive. You can always you can
The
actually
life
see
cycle is
them.
quicker, isn't it? Like aerospace, you make
Yeah,
fantastic stuff because of the safety levels, because it's in the sky.
yeah,
Automotive, obviously, extremely safety, but then aerospace, they have to go to
yeah.
beyond belief because obviously the
So
plane falls
uh,
down, it's not safe.
definitely, definitely, yeah. So that's probably something. And the next thing, I guess, was I would say when we came back from the first time from Germany
Hmm.
and I was mentioning about this platform project.
Yeah.
Was We used to call that, I think, Truck 2010 or something like that.
Okay.
This was a platform project. That is something I think I would was effective. We kind of
Definitely.
was really effective for Bosch. But for
Yeah.
me personally, it kind of gave a new thought process. Like you
Okay.
don't need to completely rebuild everything every time you start something to do. Right?
Okay.
If you can efficiently build a platform, you probably can use it
Multiple
for years.
times. Yeah,
Yeah.
clever. Because you
Uh,
saw that being used
I
across various different vehicles or
Yeah.
different component. Clever, yeah.
Yeah. So if I look back again to what the same philosophy, right? You look at an iPhone, for example, or an iPad or something like that,
Yeah.
and Apple says you get updates for 7 years. So all the new features you have, you get it for 7 years, which means the hardware is already the same. All right.
Hmm.
And I think it's pretty much the same concept going forward for software-defined vehicles
Of
also.
course. Definitely.
Yeah. So I think that is something which I encountered very early in my life, and I understand the advantage of it. I think that's
Okay.
something very happy to uh, feel proud about, right?
Hmm.
And I think the last thing, not just an achievement for me, I guess achievement for a lot of people or a lot of industries, very much is the survival through this pandemic, right?
Yes.
So we were
Life
completely
changing, wasn't
locked
it?
down.
Complete change of
Oh
the
yeah,
world.
yeah. So the survival during that time, how efficiently we continue to work, call it offline, remote work, whatever. I think I'm really proud of the whole industry that
Yeah.
we kind of survived. I know a lot of companies, a lot of small companies ceased to exist now after the pandemic because they were hit really bad.
Yes.
But again, that resilience, right? I think that is something we all we all are proud of.
Hmm.
What we did collectively. I think I'm really happy about that. So.
No, fair, fantastic point. Yeah, literally, COVID out of nowhere completely changed everybody's lives for the. Well, still effects of it today, isn't there? Which is crazy, and it was a different situation to live through. And it's a global problem, but no, I certainly think in the way the automotive industry innovated and they worked was definitely a success and interesting way to approach it. But great, okay. Next section then is learnings. So I suppose from your viewpoint, with all the knowledge that you have, what would you say like your key learns or three key areas that you recommend people to give some advice to?
Um, so if you just kind of review what I've said, right? I've taken some really bad decisions, which luckily turned out to be better for me.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm not consciously remembering. I think that's good to forget all the bad decisions you took in your
Of
life.
course, it's
But
not good. It's
the
not good to
but
carry that with you.
yeah. So, but I think most of the decisions I took in my life, after taking the decision, I had this a little fear whether I would be able to kind of survive,
Hmm.
or did I do something wrong? I think every time I felt that, there was always somebody, I would be really proud to call them my mentors,
Okay.
who were kind of guiding me,
Okay.
saying, "It doesn't matter. You did that, so let's look for the way forward." Right? I think everybody should have at least one mentor in their life.
Yeah.
If they have more, the merrier. So I'm really happy that I have every walk in my life. There are some good people who guided me really well, which brings me to my second learning.
Hmm.
Is that, I mean, you don't realize that somebody is your mentor unless you go and ask them for help, right? I mean,
Of course.
the only person I think, or only entity who helps you unconditionally, is your mom or your dad, right? I mean, they're the
Yeah.
only ones who go to help you unconditionally. But I think they also have some limit. I mean, professionally, I don't think they can really help because they have no clue what you work on.
Of course.
Um, yeah. So, second thing is always
Ask for help when
be
needed.
open. Yeah, ask for help, because unless you ask, you won't get it,
Of
right?
course.
And you should be knowing this, that the wheel has already been invented, and you should not reinvent it. You
Hmm.
just have to go and ask people if they can help you. I think if you feel that you are too shy or too brash to ask for help, I think you are you're being dumb. I think
Yeah.
that's what I realized. Yeah. So this is something I would.
You'll move quicker as well. If you're quick, happy to ask for help,
Yeah.
take
Exactly.
feedback, take the points. It's how you develop. If you obviously don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, it's a good mentality of sometimes of trying to figure things out for yourself in that brain process. But I certainly agree, asking for help and then implementing those processes, you'll definitely grow quicker. Where some people fall
Yeah.
down is they
Definitely.
ask for help and then they don't implement. And if you keep asking for help for
Yeah.
the same thing, you're not developing, are you?
Yeah. Maybe some people would say, "Hey, I don't have a lot of people to ask for," but I think, hey, we are not working alone. We are working as a team, which means we are delivering something as a team. So, which means the collective knowledge is what matters, right?
Perfect.
Yeah. So, and then I think, last probably but not the least, stay hungry. I mean, at least in automotive, you have to stay hungry. You have to keep on learning stuff
Yeah.
every day. There's something I've learned it a hard way in my first job,
Hmm.
because yeah, it's a shock, yeah, when you come. But then again, if you keep yourself at pace with how the industry is progressing,
Hmm.
keep on learning new stuff. You need not be an expert in that, but at least you need to know to an extent where you would at least see if it is good for you or bad for you. Or I think if you develop an intellect to that extent,
Hmm.
I think you can. I think that is what learning. Keep on learning, and then whatever you learn stays with you. It's nothing. No harm comes if you learn something new. You just learn a new language, learn a new instrument, learn something in your domain, new technology. People start learning AI right now. They're bringing AI to cars, and then tomorrow comes another technology. I mean, today we're talking about technologies in cars which did not exist 10 years ago.
Of course.
So yeah, so I think that is something which I would continue to do.
It's
I
like,
think.
I agree. It's like continuous developer. One thing I've seen from doing these podcasts with high achievers in the industry, that is one format that is consistent with everyone that I've seen within their careers. It's that eagerness to learn. It's that consistent with no ego, happy to make mistakes, but always developing as people. And then that knowledge and practically the saying isn't knowledge is power, but I do fully believe that that's the continuous development. I also think now where the industry's at today, obviously with the beauty of technology, Moore's law used to be 4 years till they were doubling capability. We're now running at a 6-month speed. You almost have to keep learning, don't you? Because it's just changing so quickly now that you'll be left behind in quite a short period. It's just the way it's going, which is fantastic. But I think being ahead of that is great advice. Okay, 3 fantastic points there. As I was following on from that, because you give great 3 overviews there, our next question always is that if you go back to the start of your career and you can only speak to yourself for a couple of minutes, you get to the Back to the Future car or whatever you want to put it as, and you can only give yourself one piece of like advice, we call it like the golden nugget, what would that be for you?
I would, yeah, interesting. So I would tell myself, like, tough times come, tough times go, man. Stay put, do your homework. Yeah, be thankful for all the support you're getting. Ask for support. And pretty much this is what I've told a couple of minutes ago. I would probably tell this and say, you're doing everything right. Yeah, just do
keep persevering.
what you're doing right now. Yeah, keep, and maybe be a little less brash than you've been. Yeah, so
I'm seeing a theme here from your younger years. No, fair. I think great. The market right now, isn't it? Is in a bit of a difficult period. We've been in difficult periods previously. Things do change. It is stressful. It is a bit tiring, but obviously just keep with it. Keep trying to improve and innovate, and the good times will come and the opportunities will create. I think that's a great piece of advice.
So if you see, I have probably seen, I don't know, 3 or 4 recessions so far. I think the best advice would be like, stay put, don't panic. Yeah, do what you're doing. I think tough times will pass. So you would encounter good times. Then, keep moving forward.
Perfect. Fantastic advice there. Okay, well, moving into our next section then, which I'm quite excited about today, just because I know what you're going to discuss. Obviously, this is the part of the podcast where we give our guests the opportunity to talk about a particular topic that they have a passion in or they feel would be of interest to our listeners. So I'll allow you to introduce what subject are you trying to discuss today?
So I would let me talk about something which I do every day. So let's talk about automotive or probably software-defined vehicle.
Perfect.
So
what's going on in that space? I was going to say, what's going on? Sorry.
Yeah. So thanks. So good to say that. So what's going on in automotive? I think there's a lot of turbulence right now. I mean, let's be fair. Too much going on, a lot of panic situations, a lot of alarms everywhere. Traditional OEMs are really shaking. The new entrants are performing amazingly well. Too much competition, too many things coming up from different industries. I mean, we're talking about practices from IT industry being deployed in automotive industry right now.
Of course,
there are too many things happening. Also, bad news. There have been, I think, too many companies are laying off people.
Of course,
sad does happen. I think companies also have something to substantiate the tough times. I think saying all this, right? In a single word, I would say the whole industry is currently being disrupted. Right.
Yeah.
So we have seen the advent of Tesla maybe 10, 12 years ago, probably. So the Teslas initially were like okayish, but then they are amazing cars now. They sell a lot.
We just saw their returns yesterday. If anyone watched the financial periods, it's actually crazy the how profitable he's making that business and what they're doing.
They have this YTD for this Q3. They have kind of some percentage, like 1.8% or something more than the predictions, and then just garnered 120 billion. The whole value of the company went up 120 billion. I think, but I think that's the financial part of it.
Of course,
which itself signifies the tough times come, tough times go. You just have to push on. I think that pretty much justifies what I said.
Of course.
And saying everything, this disruption is actually good.
It's change, isn't it? It's innovation.
Change is amazing. Change is always good. I think it was long due also for automotive that so much of a disruption comes because people were kind of complacent, and probably we have been talking that cars will become mobile phone on wheels, but nobody really saw them coming. And
Hmm.
now we are talking about mobile phones, cars. I mean, we are saying that we're talking about ecosystems are not just cars anymore.
Hmm.
So I think this is where the industry is progressing, and it's actually good for the industry.
Of course.
So I mean, look at it. So people who already wanted to work in automotive,
Hmm.
now new technologies come up, and it actually is a good disruptor. So that you have different technologies. You can bring in new technologies into automotive,
Hmm.
and since it is changing, anything new is probably going to fit in also. If you bring something good, would definitely fit in. I'm listening to companies right now which did not would have not even dreamt of coming to automotive earlier. So it's itself is amazing, right?
It is. It's amazing, it's exciting, and obviously, certainly just from my career, when I've entered the industry, it's just the merge, isn't it? When I first began 13 years ago within embedded software and hardware, the software and hardware and application was so far away from each other, and now all that's happening is it's just getting closer. And almost at some point, we'll see in
Yeah.
the future, will almost one be ultimately be one system, and alongside that, from that, now you saw the innovation in the mobile phone. I now think since that, the industry that I've personally seen innovate the most, and it's been in it for many years, but still to continue is the car, the structure of it, the components that are going in there. Everything is completely changing, and that's offering new opportunities with new players coming to disrupt the market, but also on a technological front, if you look at it, where the car can go. And one of the key things now, definitely software defined vehicles and the way that architecture changing completely, it's amazing. And it's very,
It's
very
awesome,
exciting.
actually.
Yeah, it's very
That's
exciting.
it's fantastic. I mean, it's good. So yeah, you should also see that changes are happening. It's kind of tough situation right now.
Of
Sad,
course. For
but I
Europe,
think
because there's certain parts of the
yeah,
economy that are absolutely thriving, isn't there? Let's be honest, like
yeah,
on that point there. But
yeah,
on the European front, it seems to be a bit of a
yeah.
going for a difficult balancing period.
Exactly. But I think let's hope for the best. I mean, I'm really optimistic that this
I
change
love this.
is going to bring more good out of the industry rather than harming it actually.
I agree. I certainly agree. It's an exciting place to
Yeah,
be, and obviously those innovations that we will discuss in a bit more detail. But there's many of them that's taking place at once, and I agree with
yeah,
you. The
yeah,
automotive industry as a whole is it's fantastic as the subject. But great,
yeah.
okay, fantastic. Well, thank you
So
very. Go on.
yeah, sorry. So I probably can talk maybe even longer on this topic. But again,
Yeah, fair.
just to add in, I think the couple of conferences coming up sometime next month. So probably I'll be probably speaking on these topics, and so do a couple of colleagues from MHP are also presenting on the impacts of software defined vehicle or the future for software defined vehicle, etc. So yeah, tune in if you guys have time.
If you have a link or anywhere, we'll share that in the post and look into that ourselves. Don't even mind doing that. We'd love to do that and encourage our listeners to follow that there.
Definitely. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah.
I know, especially you actually doing a talk yourself directly, which I will definitely be listening to and excited for that. And I think the entertainment there would be fantastic and it'd be great. But okay, perfect. Well, moving into the technical tips side, 'cause I know we've done a brief overview there to cover and capability there on time. Next is technical tips. So we kind of touched on this and the way the industry's having an innovation right now, but it's just always good to get our guest viewpoint on. From your viewpoint, if you're looking to the future, if you were speaking to young graduates of today that are getting their degrees and entering into the automotive or future mobility field across the EE technical spectrum, is there any particular areas that you recommend they should specialize in or should be aware of, just because those technologies are either going to be able to impact the industry as a whole or offer just a fantastic career if they specialize in in a couple of areas or one space?
Yeah, sure. So see, as you've said, yeah, automotive is pretty much dynamic whole. Right? So we just talked about how much disruption is happening.
Hmm.
So if you really love to work for automotive, yeah, so there's something for everybody here.
Hmm.
For example, if you come from an IT background, right? So you probably can work in IT technologies that are being used in automotive right now, or
Hmm.
probably you are into mechanical engineering or electronics engineering, or you have an
All of it's
hardware
coming in.
expertise. Yeah, I mean
Everything.
anything. So as long as you really want to have that expertise, yeah, or to learn. Or I think it also comes with how much you want to, right? It's
Hmm.
one thing you want to work, and second thing is one thing you've studied. I think you just have to match, right? You have to be really willing to expand your knowledge in the industry. I think that's pretty much important. I think that is what I would recommend
Okay.
people. So don't feel sad that okay, you're not working in mechanical industry,
Hmm.
mechanical engineering. You did not study mechanical engineering, so you probably might not be fit in automotive, right? No, it's wrong.
Yeah.
You can be anything, right?
Hmm.
I know, I had some colleagues who had a PhD in psychology,
Okay.
and they're they are working in automotive industry.
Wow.
You
Okay.
see,
That's wow. That's
yeah.
amazing. How did they enter into the field? Like, what did they do initially?
So user experience, for example.
Wow. Okay.
So
Yeah, that
how,
makes sense.
which, yeah. So I mean, for example, I mean, you are a designer, so you have expertise in designing, right?
Hmm.
Hey, you can also end up in automotive. You can design the user experience, right?
Hmm.
User experience is actually the thing that users feel.
Yeah.
That is the first thing they do. Nobody cares about how big my engine is. That unless you start the car and you start driving, nobody cares what's how powerful the car is, etc. But the first thing people see is how it looks like, the aesthetics, etc. I
How
think
do you
these are the
interact with
things.
it? How do you? Yeah,
Yeah,
amazing. And that's a, you know what,
yeah,
that's a fantastic example to showing that actually you can do the green. We can do actually if you want to come into the space you can get your foot in the door in numerous areas. Then almost once your foot's in the
yeah.
door, which you'll discuss more, the path is endless, isn't it?
Exactly, and that's what I'm trying to say. So
Yeah.
you can get into automotive irrespective. Unless you are a doctor, you probably might end up as a doctor in an
Yeah,
automotive
fair.
company. But still, but what I'm trying to say is, yeah, if you are in some branch of engineering or anything remotely that can help making cars better,
Hmm.
you are in. As simple as that.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. And I love that. And that's a fantastic route that's got there. Okay, great. I certainly agree with that point. I think that's a fantastic point to make. Is there any others? Any other areas you want to discuss?
Yeah. So there are a couple of things probably as also one is tips to survive in the industry. One is to survive in general, right? I mean,
Hmm.
if it's that okay, I can probably from my experience I just want to give through, right? So one thing is that one what you study again as is something you've studied, for example, computers or
Hmm.
electronics or something like that, and try as much as possible, right, to stick to that, because that's where your strength is, and that's why you studied, right? So you've done your bachelor's, you've done your master's in some discipline, and you just end up in something else.
Hmm.
Maybe you wanted your profession, you're enjoying it, you're lucky, you go ahead, but then again you may not have that foundation
Hmm.
what you require for your job, right? So if you should, so my first tip probably, or tip number two rather, is that stick to what you studied, yeah.
Hmm.
If possible, try there.
Yeah.
Life is not easy. I mean, you if you're lucky, you might get a job immediately in what you've studied. So everybody goes to education. I mean, at least not everybody, maybe 80-90% of people
Hmm.
want to study something and study. Yeah, the
Hmm.
remaining 10% just they study because they didn't find anything else, or they just wanted a degree, so they're just doing it, and they want to do something else. I don't know, but at least this 80 to 90% of people who actually study something, right? They have learned that fundamentally, right? From this, they have this core foundation. Try to employ that in your job. Look for a job that really uses your skills in these domains. Then you might be more effective for yourself,
Hmm.
and then you might be really be effective in your
Hmm.
job. So there might always be a possibility, like you studied X and you might get a job Y.
Hmm.
Yeah. So you might probably think, yeah, hey, I got a job, I'll jump there, I'm done, my life is settled. I know I'm a lot of people, financial freedom is something they would love to have. I know. But then again, if possible, consider waiting for a few more offers, yeah, and
Hmm.
look for something that kind of gives you the edge, right? So
Okay.
when you go land a job, for example, I studied electronics, I landed a job in electronics, that gives me an edge because I have studied something,
You've got further
right?
knowledge than the average person. Yes, and
Yeah,
that makes key sense.
exactly.
Obviously, if you prioritize getting your degree, which is great, but then almost
Yeah,
sometimes if that's not there, you've got something that
yeah,
the opportunity, there is opportunities present in the automotive industry, and then the path can be different on
exactly.
what it's offered.
This is something I would recommend. I mean, easy to say, as always, a lot of people who might hear say, "Oh, wow, man, don't tell that." But then again, it's just a request, not probably a suggestion. I would say,
Okay.
if possible, again, yeah, so it's in it's a conditional request. And second thing is that if again possible,
Hmm.
don't end up in big companies immediately after your university or education, right?
Hmm.
Try to start small because small companies give you a big opportunity to work on a bigger scale,
Hmm.
and that would kind of broaden your vision in your product or in your field of work. So start smaller companies, right?
Hmm.
You can always start in a company which has 100,000, 200,000 people.
Hmm.
You end up there, you get lost because
You're
you
wheeling
are
the
one of
cog.
200,000 people, yeah. But you start in a small company like 50 guys or I don't know, maybe 100 guys or something like that. Then you are one in 100, which means itself means that you are 1% of the organization, which itself is a huge number, right? So, and then you will have a possibility because the struggles are more, yeah, more struggles, more pain, more gain. It's true in this case, right? And then probably few years, 3 4 years, struggle there, learn stuff, and then after that you take off. You take off really good. I think that's
Your breadth of knowledge will be
yeah,
more if you work in a startup, in my opinion. If there's
yeah,
consistent highlights of that, because you have to get involved in more the hustle bustle of the business, don't you? And you have to
yeah,
do more solutions when a company's at a certain size. It's almost because it's a level of, I don't want to say detail, they require you become a part of the machine almost. So you'll get laid in an
exactly.
area and you can move into different areas, but the departments are so big, they're really going within. So I think that's a fantastic piece of advice, and I certainly
Yeah,
agree with that.
as if you want to end up in an automotive company, there are a lot of tier 1 2 3 companies which do an awesome job, and now this whole structure of tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 is kind of disrupted. There are a lot of companies, small, big, medium. Yeah, a lot of companies. You can start anywhere. I think we want to be in automotive. I think that's a for sure bet to do. And then again, probably the last one, not take much time here, I guess, is stay on your heels. I think keep learning, keep yourself active, be forward thinking because the changes are too dynamic right now. So if you want to end up in automotive industry, ending up in automotive industry is the first challenge. And then once you do it, surviving there, I think is a bigger challenge. So you have to keep yourself active, learning, updated, present, in future. I mean, I don't know what all things I can say, but yeah, you get what you understand what I mean. I mean, you have to
100%.
be, yeah,
Very
exactly,
dynamic, and you have to be prepared to be dynamic.
yeah,
And I think you definitely have to be prepared to learn now in the industry. I think that's across any
yeah,
industry, but I think definitely for the automotive at the speed it's moving, that the thing you mentioned earlier, you have to have that passion and eagerness to learn because if you don't, I almost think you'd be left behind. But what if you have got that eagerness to learn, which you wouldn't, keeps the job interesting. Fantastic place to be.
yeah.
I think they're all three, four pieces, fantastic for golden advice there, and thank you for sharing that with us in the audience. And yeah, some great pieces I've just said, which is fantastic. Okay, moving on to the last section about yourself. It's industry outlook. And obviously, the first question there is, in your viewpoint, if you look at the automotive industry in the medium to long term, even the short term as well, we've highlighted there's a lot of change. What is up and coming in your viewpoint?
Yeah, we so I've been saying this a lot already. So our industry is being in this transition right now. So a few years ago, there were not big names like Amazon or Google. They were only kind of small players in the industry. Now they're playing big. So there is this merger of technology companies into automotive domain, and that's bringing in a lot of opportunities and changes which were long overdue in the automotive industry, right?
Hmm.
So, I mean, big technology companies, when they join in, they bring big technologies with them,
Hmm.
their know-how, their market experience, etc. May not be in automotive, but whichever domain they have, they can always try to, and they have big money, so they can invest in a lot of new stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's
it
just the
brings a
gap,
lot
isn't
of
it, of the application, the
yeah,
hardware getting close together again.
yeah. The second thing is, I think all the OEMs are investing in clean energy, right?
Yeah.
we're calling it new energy vehicles or NEVs these days,
Hmm.
electric vehicles at the end of the day. But then again, either with batteries or probably there are a few OEMs like Toyota or something, they are trying with hydrogen cells, etc., fuel cells.
And
But
clean
then again,
combustion engines returning as well. In the recent thing, there's
yeah.
some projects kick
So
back up.
exactly. So there is this still this push-pull
Yeah,
situation
yeah.
with
What is the solution?
yeah. But again, I think clean energy is there to stay,
I
right?
agree.
Currently, there are too many problems. I think one is the infrastructure itself for electric vehicles.
Hmm.
Too little for the number of vehicles that are currently available. It's one thing, right?
Hmm.
Should improve, but again, I'm kind of really wondering if probably regulation also has a big picture here or
Hmm.
big role to play, because some governments who were really enthusiastic a few years ago about investing in clean energy are kind of going back right now and saying no, let's skip it for now, because we have too many hurdles. I think you can name whatever reasons, but I think
Cost is a big
electrification
issue, isn't it?
or
I know we'll discuss this later on, but cost definitely, I think, is a bit on that side
yeah,
there.
of course,
I think the global idea of how much they thought it would be to get was there, and the budget set aside.
yeah,
Actually, it's a lot bigger. But whenever humans have to
of
solve
course,
these huge
yeah. So
problems, we always do
So too
seem to
many
get there.
changes, right? Too
Yeah,
many changes at the same time is also difficult to manage. I mean, you have ICE to NEV change, you have traditional auto to software defined vehicle change, you have then disruption in the whole development process. You have then new players coming in, you have competition. You have too many factors to
yeah,
to control right now. I
certainly
think
agree.
yeah, to kind of deprioritize, they have deprioritized probably the electric vehicles. But yeah, who am I to say? I think I'm too tiny an entity in this decision making, though. But I think, however, we say that is going to stay. I mean, electric cars are going to stay.
Yeah, of course, definitely.
Yeah,
Well, I
and
never knew, but I don't know if you had the chance to go to Beijing or anywhere yourself, but there's some customers I speak to, and if you go to parts of China's cities there where they're running all on this electrification system because they've had the investment in already and the cars on that capability. So it's there, it's going, it's just not come to everywhere as
yeah,
yet. On that point, then I
and
think clean
and
energy.
that's some great point you said. Look, I mean, China, I think is really in the forefront right now in electrification in the automotive industry. On top, it comes to my next point probably is the advent of autonomous
Yes, we've not even
vehicles, right?
covered that actually yet. What an
Yeah,
area that is.
yeah. And if you look at Chinese companies, there are too many. I mean, I've been reading literally a post every day from my network, or receive a newsletter in a couple of days. Every couple of days, I receive a newsletter saying, here is a new autonomous vehicle, a company with which is piloting their new level 2, level 3 autonomous vehicles, level 3 plus. I don't know. They're just. I mean, that's really. I mean, one of my colleagues also posted a video the other day. He took a cab
Hmm.
in Beijing in an autonomous vehicle, autonomous taxi.
Wow.
Though there was a driver inside, but he was not doing anything. He was just sitting, just for the sake of it.
Hmm.
But it was purely autonomous, and he had actually shared his experiences, which was awesome actually to hear. So that's something
It's coming,
would
isn't it?
improve.
It definitely is coming.
Yeah,
Like I know if you go to Vegas, Phoenix, even San Francisco Bay Area, you can now get picked up by a Waymo or a quick
Waymo,
car, and there's
yeah,
no one even in it. So it's how long it will take to get to the roads. I don't know, but I definitely agree. I think these ADAS systems are
right.
coming. We have got a few final
So,
challenges to come over, but it's definitely coming.
So whether the autonomous will be like fully autonomous, people would be driving, I don't know, but
Hmm.
at least the advent of autonomous is bringing in a lot of sensors and safety things into the car, which itself is a great gain to the
Of
industry,
course,
right?
increase safety.
And then yeah, and then I think if you just ask me what is happening in the industry, I would say in short term a little wobbly, but I think in the next, I think take in the midterm to long term, like anything from 3 to 7, probably 10 years down the line, there are going to be amazing things that are going to be there in the industry. And I think if anybody wants to enter the industry now, would would be really happy that they took this decision. I think it's an awesome time for the industry right now. What is happening? Yeah.
I agree. I
apart
think
from the financial part.
Of
Yeah.
course,
So,
I agree. I think the
yeah.
word that you discussed really well is obviously it's innovating, but there's a lot of disruptors coming in and there's a lot of change there. But I agree with you. I think we'll go through this period. It's great for people to learn, and then there will be an overall solution that comes out of it in the end. And then that's when it will almost like innovate into a new thing and fly forward. And I really liked that word that you used, disruption along with innovation, and I agree it's a fantastic space to be in, a very, very exciting field, and a lot is going on. Okay, great. So even though we did touch on some of these already, so I don't want to get you to repeat yourself because that's the way the conversation goes sometimes. With our listeners, we always like to highlight that some of the risks or some of the threats to the sector that could impact some of these projects moving forward. I know you've already touched on regulation, haven't you, and the innovation as a whole with all the change around there. But before I move past it, I wanted to say, is there any other particular areas around that threat set that you wanted to highlight that we've not already touched on?
Um, so we can always be short-sighted and say, hey, I will just stop my competition and probably I'll be safe. I think that's not going to happen that way. So I think we're talking about Chinese cars just
Yeah.
now. And we also see that a lot of countries are kind of stopping Chinese cars being sold, or probably regulating, putting tariffs on them. I think that's kind of, in my opinion, that's not the right way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't stop innovation.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be simple. Yeah, you cannot.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, you cannot stop innovation. I mean, it's only a matter of time. People are supposed to have the innovation in their lives eventually. You just can't close the eyes and think the world is blind. I mean, it doesn't work that way, unfortunately. So what I want to say is just, what is impacting right now the society, in the industry, is these regulations, what are kind of too short-sighted right now,
Of course.
right? So they're like, you just say, okay, yeah, I just say stop. Green energy is not something I'm looking at right now. Let's deprioritize it. Or probably, foreign cars are selling more than my domestic cars, so I'll stop foreign cars being sold in my country. I think this is more coming from the government because they have no idea how to tackle the situation.
Of course.
Maybe I'm not in the government, but someone from the industry, I feel that's really bad because innovation has already happened, right?
You're just trying to stop it down, stop it
Yeah,
being
you just
implemented.
stop it. I don't think you can do it, but I think that's probably something that has to change, in my opinion. But
Has to be more
that's
cooperation, don't they? Again, let's be fair. I
yeah,
think literally we get
exactly.
back to the point where everyone's cooperation together. But unfortunately, as you said, the reason the disruptors are here, the reason new companies are here, and the factors are is that the balance of typical power or process that's been there for many, many years is changing. And what that looks like, we don't know. And I feel that some of the places that have had it a certain way are trying to protect it. And I get it, why wouldn't you? But I certainly agree with you. It's stopping the innovation. You're just, in my opinion, only slowing down the inevitable. And we should
Definitely,
move
yeah.
forward, which is
Well,
good.
that's well said, actually. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, great. And I think there's some fantastic points there it's raised. Okay, lastly, this is always my favourite question on the podcast. Obviously, the skill sets that you're looking to hire, you're looking to attract into the exciting automotive world, you've got to compete with a lot of other fantastic industries. So, from your viewpoint, why do you feel people should choose a career in automotive? Why do you feel that is the space to be in the short, medium, and long term?
So, see, let's be fair. I mean, automotive industry is probably the coolest industry. I mean, everybody says they're about their own industry, but still, I feel it's cool. Yeah? You can actually see my wallpaper there. So,
That is a fantastic wallpaper. We have to give credit to MHP for that.
thanks. So, yeah, I mean, the industry is firstly, it needs a lot of great people, good people who can build amazing products. I think the industry is always open for them. So if you think you are a good engineer and you think you can build amazing projects, yeah, then it's the industry for you.
Mm-hmm.
As simple as that. Then secondly, this is probably the best time to enter automotive industry. Might sound a little crazy, but I think this is the time where a lot of disruption is happening in the industry.
Which
And
we've mentioned
if
consistently.
if you enter now, then you are part of the disruption, which means you are going to set the trend for what is going to happen in this industry for the next few years, or probably a decade or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is a continuous learning available because the industry itself is dynamic. You get a chance to work on different kind of technologies. So there's at least something for everybody who enters automotive industry. Yeah, and yeah. you get amazing discounts if you are part of
And
an
what
OEM,
product to
by the
get a
way.
discount on? What product to get a
Yeah,
discount
yeah.
on?
So if you're part of an OEM, for example, or part of an OEM, right, a subsidiary of an OEM or something like that, you tend to get great discounts on amazing cars. I think that is something I would say, yeah, welcome.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. I
yeah,
think to summarize, it's never-ending learning. It's innovating
yeah,
quicker than any other industry. I think, I'm being biased. The people, the different cultures around the world, obviously are amazing. It's a globally led industry, isn't it? So as you've seen the
yeah,
opportunity to
definitely.
travel and just share the disruption that it's going through now, almost where the vehicle was 10 years ago and where it's going to be 10 years from now. I look at it thinking that it's very exciting in that place. But great, okay. Thank you very much for that, and thank you for that overview as always. I know just because for the senior listeners we've got there, and obviously for any grads in the future, that we're just going to take the last bit on company outlet to do a bit more of an overview around MHP, and you're going to give a bit more of a thorough detail just around that business and what it's doing. And if anyone's interested in engaging with MHP after this, there will be information on
Okay.
the posting on the podcast. But from your viewpoint, do you just want to give a brief overview and a bit of detail around MHP, what you guys do? I know you covered it on your intro, but a bit more depth.
MHP is an IT and management consulting company. So we are a consulting company. Do a lot of consulting across, as I've said in the beginning of this discussion, we do consulting on a wide range of industries,
Mm-hmm.
actually. We do, for example, cybersecurity is something we work on, cloud native solutions and data architecture, analytics, AI, technology and strategy, digitization, business platforms and integration, and software-defined vehicle. I think that we have really wide range of services what we offer
Mm-hmm.
in across different industries. And we also are chosen partner for some big companies like
Mm-hmm.
SAP, Microsoft, NVIDIA. We're
Great
golden
brands.
partner with Amazon for cloud infrastructure. I mean, AWS, etc. Yeah. So, and yeah, and what should I say? I mean, it's an awesome company actually. So I've been working there since about four plus years already. Really dynamic, really enterprising team. Uh,
what what I like from our conversation and being aware, obviously, so you guys are working on some of the cutting edge projects, which is definitely a given. You also getting involved in a lot of the full life cycle. And as a consultancy, I'm assuming literally like, yes, you focus on one project, but also sometimes the variety that it offers and the mindset on that there, and you're always getting involved in the new space is what I would think would be really, really attractive. And the fact that, yeah, you're very closely affiliated with the automotive industry, but then there's loads of other um, industries and things you cover. I think it sounds like a very exciting place
yeah.
to work, especially if
So
someone has a very active mind.
that's true. That's true. I mean, it's again what I'm saying, right? Consulting companies are a different DNA. I mean, they are really dynamic. I mean, you they are a notch beyond the regular companies like service companies or
Hmm.
something like that. Because consulting companies have to be dynamic because they are hired for special reasons.
Hmm.
Because customers who cannot solve their problems, they come to us, which gives us the edge as market experts.
Hmm.
And we have to prove ourselves day in day out to stick to that to that value, right?
Yeah.
We have that brand saying, okay, MHP guys are amazing, so we have to perform to that level. I think that gives us also the pride, that we offer the best solutions to our customers always, right? So we've been kind of a technology and business partner. We kind of digitize our customers, their processors, their products, their support, everything. I mean, we kind of give that holistic support. I mean, it's really nice. I mean, I'm not just saying this about MHP because I'm working there.
Hmm.
All the other companies. I mean, there are other consulting companies as well,
Yeah.
and still MHP is surviving beyond Porsche. So we just don't consult to Porsche
Of
alone. So we
course.
also have we do consulting outside Porsche to other OEMs also.
Hmm.
We also consult to BMW, we also consult to Mercedes-Benz, Volvo. So we are also catering for other OEMs as well. So
Hmm.
which itself tells our diversity and our diverse portfolio what we have at the customers. Right?
Perfect, yeah. And then obviously, I know there's a lot of different roles that MHP are looking to hire for, so we will put the careers page in the podcast as well. But I suppose, is there any particular skill sets that you're within the software defined vehicle area that if anyone is listening to this as a senior engineer and is looking to understand more, is there any particular areas that you're always excited or interested in seeing?
So MHP is always in lookout for some amazing people. Yeah, so there
Yeah.
is no question about that. So we are always in hunt of really good people. So if you're good, one, and two, if you really love consulting, because consulting needs a different kind of mindset, right? And if you really love what you do or what you think you can do, then yeah, welcome. It's as simple as that. I mean, we do have a really broad portfolio, as I've said. I mean, we are
Hmm.
not just recruiting people in SDV,
Hmm.
we're also recruiting people for a process optimization.
Of course.
We are also recruiting people for certifications. We've looked recruiting people in personal department. I mean, like HR, etc. So we have wide range of. So go on mhp.com careers. I think you will find what we are looking for. Hop in.
Perfect. Right. Well, that brings to the end of our episode. Thank you so much again for getting the time behind it. Really enjoyed recording it with you and some fantastic points, tips, and raised there. And thank you again.
Luke, thank you very much for your time as well. Yeah, and yeah, I hope I give some decent many inputs for the listeners who are listening to this call. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Take care.